at mertech.com with your daily news update. Okay, here we are on July the 30th in the year of our Lord 2025. Got a lot of great information for you tonight. Let me click on Mertech on Rumble. Take you to my Rumble page. Right here's the video that you're watching right now. It says upcoming, but as you well know, you are watching it. Episode 1639. Let's go ahead and click on that. Pause that, close that out, slide down here, and let's click the Show More button and go over our agenda for tonight. ACLJ Sekulow, Bannons War Room, Dr. Steve Turley, and Rubin Report. But before we get into that, I do have a shout out here to Deb Brandt, commented on my episode 1638. Deb is from Australia. So I really appreciate her support and her comments. And yeah, things aren't working out so well for them down in Australia. Sorry to say, but hang in there, Deb. We all love you, and we hope the best for you. Let me give this a thumbs up. There we go. Okay, and folks, before we get into this, we have school starting tomorrow here in Indianapolis, in Franklin Township. There were some schools, Perry Township, here in Indianapolis. They actually started school yesterday, but there's a video here that I need to play because school's starting. It's very important. I hope you can see this. I hope you watch this because this is something that just needs to be said.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
It's that time of year again.
They're going back! It's back to school time at Staples. Over 7,000 supplies at guaranteed low prices. It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Staples. That was easy.
Alrighty then. That's something that I just have to play the first day of school because as far as I'm concerned, it is the most wonderful time of the year. Now, I don't know. This guy here, this commercial, I believe was created back in 1998. And this guy looks a lot like Tucker to me. I don't know. Let me see what you think.
They're going back! It's back to school time at Staples. Over 7,000 supplies at
I don't know if he is Tucker, but he sure looks like him to me. All right, let's get back here and let's get serious, okay? American Center for Law and Justice, a Sekulow clip. Bongino, we cannot run a republic like this. Okay, well, let's see what this... Bongino doesn't say much. I'll tell you what, he pretty much keeps us close to the vest, keeps us in the dark. But let's see what ACLJ has to say about it.
The breaking news of the morning. It feels like this is a bit of a back and forth volleying match between whatever's happening in the FBI or the Department of National Intelligence, whatever it may be. And they go back and forth. They go, you don't have anything. Oh, yeah, here's some more. You don't have anything. Oh, yeah, here's some more. And they double down this morning, Will.
That's right. So the director of national intelligence, as we know, Tulsi Gabbard, she had released things last week. Now we are understanding that the director of the CIA, John Ratcliffe, will be declassifying underlying intelligence that was the basis for a classified annex to special counsel John Durham's report on the weaponization of government with Russia collusion.
All the Johns.
There's a lot
of Johns.
That's right. What this intelligence is going to show, according to sources, is what the intelligence community knew about Russia collusion hoax and when they knew it. and how bad it is for them, including things like there was foreign intelligence that our government had.
Listen to this. Okay, I think we got to slow this down because this is a big moment here. Well, this is where you got to look at how our government reacted just a few years ago, under 10 years ago, working towards what would become the first Trump presidency.
That's right. So there is reports that is what we will see in this underlying intelligence is that foreign governments, other intelligence agencies that shared information with the CIA, John Brennan, the director of the CIA, with what they called surprising specificity, like detailing what was going to happen with the Russia collusion hoax before the FBI ever started Crossfire Hurricane. They shared this intelligence showing that Hillary Clinton and her team had authorized a smear campaign against President Trump, that this smear campaign would allege he was an asset of Putin, and that all of this was to further the distraction against her emails, as well as that the FBI would amplify these claims through investigative steps. And they said it described the Russia collusion hoax with surprising specificity before the FBI ever opened the investigation.
That was the line that really caught me off guard, was the specificity, saying essentially they knew the plans that were going to happen before that. And not only did they not thwart it, they seemed to want to embolden it, to engage in it, to engulf it.
Earlier, when we were talking last week about this, there is a part of me that's like, none of these people ever get held accountable. Reading what John Brennan knew, what James Comey knew, according to these reports, there better be some accountability here, because this is a cut and dry case of knowing one thing and then pulling a scam on the entire American public for years, wasting taxpayer money, wasting criminal resources, and trying to undermine an elected president of the United States. It is shocking. There's multiple reports, and because you're getting it from different sources, we haven't seen the primary documents yet. But what we're expected to get is declassified intelligence that was in an annex to the John Durham report. We know that the John Durham report special counsel was highly critical of the way that the Crossfire Hurricane investigation, the weaponization of the government unfolded under the FBI leadership of James Comey, and then following with the special counsel, Robert Mueller, and the intel agencies. What we haven't seen is what a lot of his report was based on, because it was classified intelligence product. That tells the full story. And that is what we are expected to see declassified by John Ratcliffe and then either released by the Department of Justice, because that is a work product of a special counsel, or they could release it through someone like Chairman Grassley of the Senate Judiciary Committee, which is how they've released some of these other things that have come out, such as the Clinton email classified annex that was released just a few weeks ago. But here's some of the things that we're hearing already. One is a report out of Fox News. The other is out of Tablet Magazine. These are a good chance they're talking about the same thing. But until we see it, we won't know if these are two separate items, but they seem to correlate pretty closely. Fox is saying that there was alarming specificity in the intelligence before Crossfire Hurricane was opened by the FBI. That was the investigation into Trump-Russia collusion.
We're talking about now at least 10 years.
Right.
If not 11 plus.
2015, 2016. 2016 is when
years,
a lot of this work product was first obtained by the intelligence community.
But it's just now getting to the light of day because we have a new administration.
That's right. And this administration is being transparent, showing what went on. And one of the really shocking details to me is that, and bear with me for a minute here, the director of the CIA at the time, this was at the end of the Obama administration as the 2016 election cycle was going forward, received intelligence from the Dutch spy agency. So that would be the Dutch equivalent to the CIA, that they were spying on Russia. And they saw that Russia had hacked the DNC, which was widely known, and received communications, internal documents, that Russia knew that Hillary Clinton and her campaign had authorized a smear campaign of Donald Trump. And what they were going to claim is that Donald Trump was an asset of Putin, and that would damage his credibility and help her get elected.
It feels like maybe we heard that a few times.
And so it's interesting. One, we've now learned the Russians knew about that,
because this was
did nothing.
This was before that narrative began.
So that already discredits the later intelligence community assessment that the Russians wanted Donald Trump to win. How could they hurt Hillary Clinton? If they said, hey, by the way, she's about to launch a false attack on us. How do we know? Yeah, we hacked her emails. But this isn't true. That would damage the credibility of the Clinton campaign. And that would help Donald Trump potentially get elected if that was the goal of the Russians. So the Dutch say, hey, we've learned about what the Clinton campaign is going to do because we're spying on the Russians. And what did John Brennan do, the director of the CIA? He took this and they called it the Clinton Plan Intelligence. So what the campaign was going to do. And he briefed senior White House officials. He briefed the director of national intelligence, James Clapper. He briefed the president, and he briefed James Comey, the director of the FBI at the time. What transpired after that is that this other intelligence says the FBI is going to be amplifying this work product of the Clintons that released this. They did exactly what the intelligence told them they were going to do. Instead of investigating the Clinton campaign for trying to fabricate intelligence, they did what they were forecasted to do. They started investigating President Trump about this fake plan. Now, James Clapper,
knowing that it was not only a fake plan, it was a plan that was created intentionally to disrupt the election and to swing votes potentially to Hillary Clinton.
That's right. And so John Brennan...
So they were like, that's a good idea, Putin.
Brennan knew this was going to happen. James Clapper knew it was going to happen. James Comey knew it was going to happen. Those are the three people that there have been criminal referrals about. James Comey, James Clapper, John Brennan. They all knew.
3 J's.
And nowhere in the intelligence community assessment, which was released, did they mention that they had this intelligence. They even testified that they had no idea about this later. They lied to Congress. They lied to the media. Right. They lied to the American people. He said, it rings true.
It rings true.
So now we are seeing that even the special counsel, which one may ask, why didn't the special counsel, John Durham, bring charges? I mean, we do know that he was probably reined in by Merrick Garland to some degree because that was the attorney general under Joe Biden. But we know that these individuals knew that this was a scam to begin with that was cooked up by the Clinton campaign. They knew that the Russians knew about it and weren't doing anything about it, which would help Hillary Clinton if she were to get out there with this information, which she did. And they did nothing about it. Instead of shutting it down, they amplified it. They started an investigation based off of something that they already knew wasn't true. Yeah. They lied to the American people. They lied to Congress. They wasted taxpayer money. They tried to subvert a presidency. If that's not a treasonous conspiracy, I don't know what is.
We are so excited to announce the ACLJ.
All right, folks, there you have it. Of course, we've known this for, 5-6 years now? We've known this was a scam. Let me click on this Rumble link and show you that this video does come from American Center for Law and Justice, a Sekulow clip. I'm following the channel. I've given them a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, let's jump back here and see what's next. Looks like Bannons War Room. Trump declassifying the Durham Annex could blow this thing wide open. Okay, well, let's see what's going to get blown wide open. Let me get it back to the beginning for you.
Okay, John Solomon joins us. I got a clip I'm going to play as soon as Denver and my staff give me the thumbs up. I'm going to play it. John, you've got an incredible article up, and it's very it illuminates a lot. It's a woman named Susan Miller. She's part of the deep state over at CIA. She's essentially laughing at us, right? She's got a social media account. Yeah. You've outed her. Talk to me about it, and then I want to ask you the implications of this, sir.
Yeah, so Susan Miller just retired recently as a CIA officer, counterintelligence directorate. And she says in these interviews that she's been doing the last few weeks on legacy media with people who were the propagators of the Russia collusion hoax, that she led the CIA team that wrote the intelligence community assessment that came to the conclusion that Vladimir Putin was trying to help Donald Trump win the election. We now know that evidence is that conclusion is not only disputed, there's evidence that actually cuts in the opposite direction, but it was kind of downplayed in this report. And she goes out and says, I think the Steele dossier may still be true. I think Donald Trump's a dictator. I think people in MAGA are Nazis. And then when someone says, hey, this is a lot like Hitler, she says, the analogy's not lost on me. You can see her on social media and in mainstream media laughing in the face of this evidence that we now have that shows the intelligence community hijacked an intelligence product, hijacked the FBI to create a false investigation and a false conclusion about Donald Trump to try to stop him from winning the election. When that failed, to stop his presidency from succeeding. We, the American people, are the victims of that, yet no one has really been punished.
Do we have, is it Durham? There's still codicils or things that relate to Durham that haven't been unsealed. There are other information. Tell us what out there, what other receipts does John Solomon see coming down the track?
It's coming this week. I think you'll see in the next 2 or 3 days. I asked President Trump about this in our interview last week on Just the News, No Noise. Would you be willing to release the classified annex of the John Durham report? He said, absolutely. He told John Ratcliffe, go declassify the classified annex. And John Ratcliffe is in the process of doing that. It'll come out through DNI and through Chuck Grassley, Senator Grassley, who, like me, have been fighting for this annex for several years. Here's what it's going to show. We already established that Barack Obama and John Brennan knew in early July 2016 that Hillary Clinton was concocting a fake Russia collusion story to try to harm Donald Trump's chances of winning. We're now going to have absolute emphatic evidence that the FBI, the people who open up on Donald Trump, on Carter Page, on George Papadopoulos, they also knew that Hillary Clinton was pulling this dirty trick, and they were playing into it. They were using the Steele dossier, a direct product of the Clinton campaign. They were using people like an Australian ambassador named Downer, who was a good friend of the Clintons. All these people were part of that dirty trick, and the FBI knew before they opened up, and as they were opening up, and as they were continuing, that Hillary Clinton was behind this. That is what that annex is expected to show all of us. I think it'll be out as early as Thursday.
You think you think that annex is coming out Thursday? It's going through declassification? Is that what the issue is?
Right now. Yeah, it's going through declass. It's highly sensitive because it involves an intelligence intercept. It reveals how the Obama administration found out that Hillary Clinton had ordered this dirty trick and was going to hang this fake Russian shingle on Donald Trump's campaign house. So there are some methods and sources that are going to have to be protected. But everybody was in on the fix. They knew in advance Hillary was doing this. And rather than say, let's not abuse the intelligence system, they did the opposite. They played in, they leaned in. And that's why when you talk about people like Susan Miller or you talk about Pete Strzok, Ronald Reagan said 40 years ago, his administration coined the term, people are policy. And the left have embedded their people in government. They withstand elections and they last beyond it. And those people ended up creating the intelligence policies that created a false dirty trick on the American people. That's why this is so important. And thus far, despite all of our outrage, we haven't fixed the problem.
By the way, Brennan in this crowd continues to go on TV every day, right? You can hang on for 1 second. He continues to go on TV every day. I think I'm going to show you why. I want to play a short clip from a very famous film, and I want to have, because I think this sums up the point. I want John Solomon, I want you to comment on it. Let's go ahead and play it.
Sir?
I think there's nothing like vodka.
That's what I think.
Now, are you ready to go to work?
Where are we going?
On a liquor rig. Need another man. And this is very interesting. I found a financial disbursement pattern here which shows some irregular. You carry a badge?
Yes.
Carry a gun.
Jimmy? What? What the hell are you dressed for? Halloween?
Shut up. I'm working.
Where? The circus.
Here we are.
What are we doing here?
Liquor raid.
Here?
Mr. Ness, everybody knows where the booze is. The problem isn't finding it. The problem is who wants to cross the pond. Let's go.
You better be damn sure, Malone.
If you walk through this door now, you're walking into a world of trouble. There's no turning back, you understand?
Yes, I do.
Good. Give me that axe.
Officers, get your hands in the air.
From the Untouchables, John Solomon. Wow. There's no going back. Who's got the courage, sir, to take that axe and beat down the door? You got 60 seconds.
Yeah, listen, they were selling bootleg liquor back in those days. We're selling bootleg intelligence and lawfare now. We'll see if it's Pam Bondi's opportunity to bring the wrecking ball and the axe to this machine, this illicit intelligence machinery that's been built. We'll see if it happens.
No turning back, John Solomon. Where do people go for all your content?
Yeah, thank you. JustTheNews.com and Jay Solomon Reports on all social media. And I'm lucky enough to follow you every day right here on Real America's Voice at 6 o'clock. Just the News, no noise.
All right, there you have it, folks. Boy, I hope something does happen because, if there's no consequences for what they do, they're just going to continue to do it. And even more, just like the election rigging. Okay, let me click on this Rumble link and show you that this video does come from Bannon's War Room. I'm following the channel. I've given them a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, let's jump back here. We've got more information here from Dr. Steve Turley. Developing Chuck Schumer melts down in the Senate as Democrats run terrified from success. Unbelievable. Anytime something good happens under the Trump administration, it's horrifying for the Democrats. You would think that they would, kind of like maybe jump on board and say, yeah, we supported that. We helped him do it. No, they don't want anything good to happen. They do not want anything good to happen, regardless of who is in charge, whether it is a Democrat or a Republican. They certainly don't want anything good to happen if a Democrat's in charge, and they positively don't want anything to happen if a Republican's in charge because they hate the country. Let's see what he has to say. There he is. Oh, Chucky.
To Trump's latest EU tariff deal? Well, let me put it plainly. Washington hasn't seen a meltdown this spectacular in years. While the media claims Trump's America First approach would spark an economic disaster, the numbers and the panic from the left tell a very different story. Make sure to stick me to the very end of this video because what's unfolding right now could redefine the 2026 midterms, leaving the Democrats completely in the dust. You're going to love this. Hey, gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your patron professor, here to help you make sense of all the madness as the political left desperately tries to stop the unstoppable rise of a new conservative age. If you want a front row seat on how you're changing the world in ways you never even imagined, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. Now, as the great Rush Limbaugh used to say, great news for America is always a bad day for the Democrats, a bad day for the party of victimhood, the party of unfairness, injustice, inequalities. As I'm sure you all know, the story that's sending shockwaves through D.C. is President Trump's massive trade agreement with the European Union. Over the weekend, Trump clinched a headline-making deal. The EU agreed to buy $750 billion in American energy over 3 years and invest an extra $600 billion in the United States as a whole. They've agreed to remove all tariffs on U.S. goods and open up their continent of 450 million people to U.S. markets. All the while, the U.S. will impose 15% tariffs on all European goods. It's a deal that represents literally tens of trillions of dollars pouring into the U.S. economy. It's the very definition of the golden age. And up Chuck Schumer? Well, he lost it on the Senate floor.
Over the weekend, Donald Trump announced a new trade deal with the European Union. It will result in a $90 billion per year tax hike on American families. When you raise tariffs, the American families pay for it. $90 billion tax on American families in this tariff deal with the European Union. Donald Trump is, as usual, trying to hype up, exaggerate, and lie about his accomplishments. Donald Trump always lies, almost always lies about his accomplishments, and this is no exception.
So, according to Upchuck, this massive trade agreement was, quote, fake. He went on to scoff that it's not even legally binding. And he claimed that this fake deal was going to raise taxes on the American people. The deal is fake, but the taxes are real. It was going to raise taxes on the American people to the tune of $90 billion. Where he gets that number, no one. I mean, he pulls it literally out from where the sun don't shine. Upchuck Schumer and every single Democrat, please keep in mind, just voted to institute the single largest tax hike in American history a few short weeks ago. But now Upchuck Schumer is worried about a tax hike, which he even admits is a mythical one. He explained it's based on the notion that tariffs equal taxes. Tariffs are synonymous with taxes. Tariffs always result in higher prices for the American consumer, no exceptions whatsoever, which, of course, is blatantly untrue. Trump's tariffs over these last 6 months have not resulted in the higher prices for American consumers that economic illiterates like Upchuck Schumer were predicting. And that's because, as Trump knew they would, retailers absorbed the extra costs to avoid losing business. Supply chain shifted to alternative suppliers outside tariff countries, and many importers stockpiled goods before tariffs took effect, buffering immediate price impacts. And so as a result, overall consumer prices only rose by a modest 1.7% in the short term. You want to compare that to Biden's 4 bleak years? 1.7%. And the United States economy avoided any inflation that the Fed, being addicted to globalist policies, were warning about. Now, in fact, we're seeing Democrats, even the likes of none other than Bill Maher, openly admitting that he was wrong about Trump's tariffs. He just said in one of his podcasts that he expected Trump's policies, to sink the economy by the summer of 2025. And he admitted that didn't happen. He bluntly said, I got to own it. These tariffs did not tank the economy like I predicted they would. That's just a fact. So Upchuck's got to get with the program here. Even his fellow libbies are admitting there is no inherent contradiction between tariffs and higher prices for consumers. So ironically, it's Upchuck Schumer who's the one lying here. And I think we all know why he's really having a meltdown on the Senate floor over this trade agreement. And that is the best news of them all. But first, we're not just fighting an information war. There's another war that's happening that many...
Okay, he's going into a commercial here, so let me go ahead and skip past that. Here we go. Yeah, those tariffs, on Mercedes and BMWs and Volkswagens, French wine, Italian wine. I think that's if it does cause a price increase. I've never owned a Mercedes. I've never owned a BMW. I think that will probably go Jaguar. I think those tariffs will probably be paid by the elitists, and they don't care because they have so much money. They just don't care.
Well, let's break down why Schumer's little meltdown there isn't just performance. It's actually abject fear. It's projected panic. The latest Wall Street Journal poll and the CNN polling shows Democrats at a 35-year low in favorability, with 63% of Americans holding an unfavorable view of the Democrat Party. You heard that right, 63%. That is a staggering political collapse. Only 33% say they view the Democrats favorably, while Trump and the Republican Party poll significantly higher, even while media narratives repeat that Trump is underwater. Yeah, right. On issues from the economy, tariffs, to foreign policy, voters trust Republicans over Democrats by double-digit margins. What changed? Well, this weekend, Americans are seeing tangible results. They're seeing a president brokering deals, making ceasefires overseas, and talking tough with the world's largest economies. Meanwhile, Democrats are mired in messaging chaos, culture war distractions, and internal bickering. According to pollsters, even Democrat strategists, the party's brand is so bad that they don't have the credibility to even remotely effectively criticize President Trump or the Republican Party. Trump's achievements, from peace deals in Southeast Asia to trade wins with Europe and Japan, have left the left's old accusations in the dust. Schumer and Democratic leaders are now reduced to pure fear-mongering, warning of mythical tax hikes while failing to offer proactive solutions or real leadership to actually make our lives better. Meanwhile, in the process, you have pop culture flare-ups like the outrage over Sydney Sweeney's American Eagle ad, which we talked about last night. It only reinforces that Democrat priorities are completely out of sync with everyday voters. The left obsesses over so-called racist dog whistles and supposed white supremacy. All the while, real economic wins are being delivered at home and abroad. Here, I believe, is your big takeaway from all of this. When Trump promised to play hardball with global powers, critics called him reckless. But America, as a result, is getting deals, not disaster. The opposition's panic isn't just theater. It's a sign that conservative victories are resonating with ordinary voters. The Republicans are leaving the Democrats increasingly in the dust. For example, take a look at the latest voter registration stats coming out of the key swing state of the Keystone State, Pennsylvania. Look at all that red. The Republicans just netted a plus 9,000 registered voters over Democrats in the last few weeks. The active Democrat voter lead in Pennsylvania has whittled down to just 58,000. It was nearly 1 million back in 2016. But that's the pattern we're seeing quite literally everywhere. Republicans are consistently out-registering Democrats literally everywhere. And the key significance of that is that voter registration trends are the key predictive indicator for how people will vote in the next election. That's what we saw in 2024, and it's exactly what we are seeing for 2026. Voters are seeing real results with Trump and the GOP, and they're seeing nothing more than meltdowns and tantrums from from upchuck Schumer and the Democrats, and they're clearly going with the results. Everyone died.
All right, he's going into a commercial here. So let me go ahead and click on this Rumble link and show you that this video does come from Dr. Steve Turley. I'm following his channel. I've given him a thumbs up. Yeah, I apologize. My audio got muted there when I was talking about, when I broke in the middle of the video there and was talking about old Chucky whining about the taxes going up. And the taxes will just be going up on, if there are any increases in prices on BMWs and Mercedes and Jaguars and Volkswagens and French wine and Italian wine, it'll be the elitist. I don't drink French wine or Italian wine. I've never owned a BMW or a Mercedes or a Jaguar, so I don't plan on it either. So, doesn't bother me. Okay, let's get back here and see what Rubin report has to say on liberal. Now, you heard Dr. Steve talk about, mentioned Bill Maher, and I don't know if you've seen that video before, but he's going to talk about that. Dave Rubin is liberal guest jaw drops as Bill Maher admits he was wrong on Trump. He usually is wrong. But let's take a listen and see what he has to say. Let me get this back to the beginning. Here we go.
So let's work first from the reality of that, not from I just hate Donald Trump. Because that's boring and doesn't get us anywhere and leads you to dishonesty.
So now I want to show you this video because, as you know, I like to slowly drag my friend Bill Maher over to the good side, and I want to be gentle and nice. And Bill, I sent you some Copal. You'll be enjoying that. But here he is on Club Random Podcast admitting that he was wrong about Trump's tariffs. Again, which only 3 months ago, it was fairly obvious to some of us that this was about negotiations and leverage, which is exactly now how it has all worked out. But I will give credit where credit is due. It is good when someone acknowledges that they were wrong. Here's Bill.
I remember along with probably most people, was saying at the beginning, by the 4th of July, somebody had a thing how the country the economy was going to be tanked by then. And I was kind of like, well, that seems right to me, but that didn't happen. Now, it could happen tomorrow. I'm just saying that's reality. So let's work first from the reality of that, not from I just hate Donald Trump. Because that's boring and doesn't get us anywhere and leads you to dishonesty. Because the truth is, I don't know what his strategy is. But look, the stock market is at record highs. I know not everybody lives by the stock market, but I also drive around. I don't see a country in a depression at all. I see people out there just living their lives. And I would have thought, and I got to own it, that these tariffs were going to sink this economy by this time, and they didn't. So, how do we deal with that fact? Because that's the fact.
Bill, I'm going to give you credit. The mea culpas are important. The things, acknowledging that you got things wrong, I just did it. I have no problem doing it. And it's a mark of, I think, a good person, particularly in this space, in the political space where everyone wants to get you and clip the video and share it. It is very good when you could say, I was wrong about something. So look, when Trump announced all these deals and remember the market crashed, like crash. We had 3 really bad days and people were like, this is it. It's the recession and it's the Great Depression part 2 and all of these things. I never felt that. I never sold hysteria to you. You can go back to all of those videos, but I was watching it and I was concerned and I didn't know if it was going to last 3 days or a week or a month or whatever. But I thought it was exactly what Trump and Elon, if you remember, during the campaign had said. There's going to be pain points along the way because you don't just things don't just get fixed like, oh, okay, we fixed it like that. Like to actually fix things, you're going to have to negotiate the world markets. You're going to react in a certain way. So the stock market did crash. It is now as high as of, I think yesterday, it is as high as it has ever been. Bill is right. When you drive around, people do have a little bit more. We know that gas is a little bit less. The price of eggs and meat and other things has come down a little bit. All of that stuff. And then as per the deals themselves, I would say, Bill, you've come a long way, and maybe this is the last, perhaps this is the last little thing you need to see as proof that Donald Trump does actually know what he's doing. So you're with him on free speech, you're with him on foreign policy, you're with him on a lot of these things. You've now broken bread with the guy and realized that he's actually a lot nicer and kinder than Barack Obama and more authentic and all of that. And so maybe the last piece to connect everything, because you are an honest guy, is going, oh, and he actually did know what he was doing with the economy. So I'm in no sense sharing that to own you. I'm sharing it to give you kudos. And again, we always want to be as gracious as we can when people are kind of coming over to reality.
All right, there you have it, folks. I followed Dave Rubin for a while. I like what he has to say. Okay, he's got good information. He's straightforward. I don't care about his lifestyle. That's his business. But I do like what Dave Rubin has to say. Okay, clicking on the Rumble link, it takes us to the Rubin Report. This is the video I shared with you. I'm following his channel. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right. Well, it looks like I shared these 4 videos with you, and these videos do come directly from Mertech.com. Okay. Let's jump over here. Here is the Rubin Report right down here. There we go. The Rubin Report. Also, ACLJ Sekulow is right here. Bannons War Room is right here. Dr. Steve Turley right here. These 4 videos are videos that I've posted on Mertech.com, okay? And Mertech.com, there's a link to it in this description box below, is your one-stop shop for no-nonsense, common sense, logic, and truth, okay? The information that you find here on Mertech.com is information that I go out and update this site multiple times a day from these different channels, a variety of information, a variety of producers that give you the information that you're not going to get from the mainstream media. Okay, it's a free site. I don't ask for your name. I don't ask for your email address. I don't ask you to sign up for a newsletter. I don't have cookies dropping on your computer that I sell. So you're pretty much anonymous when you come here to Mertech.com. I don't have a bunch of ads popping up in your face. All right. But I do have news that you can rely on. And it looks like we have a few minutes extra. Let's jump down here. And I was listening to Wendy Bell today, and I think I have this at a good spot. And she's going to talk about something that I've been talking about for about 5 years now, and that's fixing elections. So let's see what she has to say. If this will start.
Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. The speed with which this administration is unwinding the suck of not just Joe Biden's alleged presidency, but the 8 years of Obama, it really is quite astonishing. First, of course, rolling back the largest single deregulatory action in American history, unwinding $1 trillion worth of Green New Deal garbage that's only meant to piss you off. Honest to God, doesn't save the planet. There's no whales that are swimming longer and living longer. Our eagles aren't breathing better air because your car stops at a red light and then you have to push a button for it to get back on, right? I mean, this though is very important. You got to clean up the voter rolls. Look, the way I see it, the secretaries of state have a very specific job. They have to be the election master of their state. And if they're corrupt, one could presume, and it wouldn't be a stretch, that the roles where dead people are, where people who were born in the 1800s are still voting, allegedly, where people who don't even exist, where people who have moved to other cities, other states, other countries, right? They haven't cleaned up their roles, and they haven't for a reason, because you need pad. It's all about math, guys. Right? If you can't count on the illegals voting, because Trump's all over that, border stuff is all taken care of. We're going to root these people out. They cannot be allowed to vote. And we are going to force photo ID, proof of citizenship has to happen. The DOJ now wants to inspect the voter rolls in several swing states. The states redact signatures and social security numbers whenever the Department of Justice asks for a complete listing of these people's names. Now, if you're going to redact people's social security numbers, how does that help us ascertain whether or not said voter even exists or is alive anymore? Right? So the Department of Justice is going to take this on. Pam Bondi's got her hands full. Hopefully we start seeing something. The Department of Justice conducting a state-by-state review to scrutinize how officials manage their voter rolls and remove ineligible voters. The effort so far is focused on battleground states. It follows President Donald Trump's widely challenged executive order in March that sought to create new requirements to register to vote and backed a range of voting policies long supported by Republicans. I don't know about you guys. How extreme are you guys on this? All right, here's what I think. If you're 18, you should be able to register to vote. It is not just your honor. It is not just a privilege to be a voting member of the most remarkable place on planet Earth. It is your duty. It is your obligation. It is your job to weigh in, to be educated, to have a voice, and to exercise it. Right? And so all we want is prove to us you are who you are. I want to see that you're an American citizen. I want to see proof of citizenship, and you should have a photo ID. And the only reason the left pushes back against that is because it eliminates the scam. It prevents people who were imported here by the Biden administration to change the census, change the voting lines or the districts, and hopefully for the Democrats, get some candidate across the finish line. Of course, Democrats are going to make it sound like in the true victim warrior enemy construct of Marxism, the Democrats call all people who are, let's say, marginalized. Black people can't be expected to get ID. How could a black person be expected to do that? How offensive. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You telling me that there's a whole block of people based on skin color who are simply incapable of getting to the DMV, who can't get a basic identification card? Does that not insult everybody out there regardless of skin color? And proof of citizenship. Ought that not be like item number 1 on the checklist? Are you an American? Right? Proof of your citizenship. The left goes nutty over this. Well, in nearly identical letters to state election officials in Minnesota, Nevada, and Pennsylvania, the DOJ is asking them to describe how they identify people who are felons, people who are dead, people who are non-residents or non-citizens, and how they remove them from their voter lists. Have you heard about the states? I'm trying to figure out, I saw one article that said, like in all of Nevada, the Secretary of State there removed 12 names from the voter rolls. 12 people? You mean to tell me that in your entire state of millions of individuals, only 12 people died or 12 people moved away that changed your voting rolls? Don't play with us. The DOJ is dropping the gloves. We'll see where it goes, but this is also another pillar of the administrative state. You got to cheat because you can't win on your own because you suck, right? Don't you wish everything was as easy as it was when I explain it? When we come back, hour number 3 of the Wendy Bell radio program. Get ready for the Durham Annex. This is it, guys. This is the final blow. This could lead to Hillary Clinton's prosecution.
Okay, let's move forward here and see what that's all about. But yes, now in Indiana, number 1, I think to get registered to vote, you need a valid state ID, driver's license here in Indiana. But to get a driver's license, you need to show a birth certificate or a passport. You need to show you're a resident of Indiana. to get an Indiana driver's license. Now, if you get an Indiana driver's license and move to Ohio, I guess you could come back to Indiana and vote. But I believe, now I've moved from Indiana to Ohio, I've moved to Indiana to Florida. And when you go to the license branch to get a Ohio driver's license or a Florida driver's license, you show them your driver's license from Indiana, and they'll run a check on it, make sure it's valid. And if it is, then they'll give you a Ohio driver's license or Florida driver's license, whatever it is. But here in Indiana, you need to have your driver's license, a state ID. And it's the same with a state ID. If you want to get a state ID, you have to have something to show that you're you. A birth certificate, passport, and you have to have like a couple of utility bills, like a water bill, an electric bill, that shows your address to prove that you're actually a resident. Okay? So you can take that driver's license in and go register to vote. But then again, in some states, like California, I believe, you can register on the same day you vote. You can give them any address. Or you could use the same documents at 2 or 3 different places for 2 or 3 different people. Fly in from China, Russia, Iran on voting day, register and vote, and then fly back home. Nice little vacation. Okay, let me get it up here. About the 2 minute and 6 minute mark, or 2 hour and 6 minute mark.
240 people in shoes, guys.
All right.
Big bag.
Let's go to the party, folks.
Who why I'm standing here? Don't question my paying for when you're willing to die. The WBRR.
Welcome back. Hour number 3 of the Wendy Bell Radio program on the clock. Delighted to be with you. This Durham Annex. This is the story that the news media have given 2 minutes and 17 seconds to. The same news media who for 38 hours, all told, over the years, has told you about Russia. Trump's an asset. He's working with Putin. They worked to steal the election, right? 38 hours they spent on that at all of your major networks. 2 minutes and 17 seconds on Tulsi Gabbard's drop of declassified information that proves it was all a scam and that everybody was freaking in on it and that President Trump is a victim of a crime. That is the story. Now, the media want you to believe that if they don't tell you something happened, that it didn't happen. Or if they hunt around it, peck around it, that you'll lose interest. There is no bigger story than the greatest scam, the biggest crime in American political history, which is a campaign for president and a sitting president of the United States colluding in a treasonous, traitorous way to undermine the president that the majority of Americans voted for. Now, Shazizzle's about to get real because the media on round 1 said they did not pay attention at all to the Tulsi Gabbard drop. The files dropped, of course, by the CIA, John Ratcliffe. We're not paying attention to that. I don't know. That's old news, or they just don't cover it. See, the only people who don't realize that's not working are the media. This Annex, this Durham Annex. This is a deeper dive into Hillary Clinton, into the crimes that she committed when she was Secretary of State, and she was running to be president of the United States. And it's coming out. And this actual drop might just be the moment that the biggest scandal in American history is truly busted wide open and unavoidably so for the media. I want you to hear John Solomon. He was on with Sean Hannity last night. John Solomon from Just the News. He's the guy who's basically been keeping us in the know on this the whole time. And I love giving him props. I think he's a good dude. He says, look, Chuck Grassley, Senator Grassley, has been working for years to try to get these files declassified. And finally, Donald Trump, the president of the United States, said declassify them. Give them to the senator, make them public, let the whole world know what's going on. This is the moment, I believe, today or tomorrow, according to Solomon, when Hillary Clinton officially goes down.
Is it your belief that the Durham Annex would show that FBI officials knew the Clinton campaign planned this all along?
Not only that, Sean, the Clinton Annex is going to show there was foreign intelligence. A foreign enemy had determined that the FBI had agreed to be the accelerant, that they were going to be conspirators joining with Hillary Clinton to give credence to her fake narrative. And that's exactly what happened. When people see what the foreign intelligence is and then how the FBI acted, it matches extremely closely. This is a bombshell Senator Grassley is going to release as early as tomorrow.
Okay, so let's talk about this, a bombshell. I don't like that word, but this might actually be a bombshell. In case you missed it, this is from Grassley's own office. And he writes this: Grassley joins Just the News to discuss the release of, he's calling, the Clinton Annex. Thank God for Chairman Grassley making the DOJ watchdog report public. It's a small blurb I found on the senator's website. Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley joined John Solomon on Just the News, No Noise, to discuss the possible disclosure of a Department of Justice Office of Inspector General report. This is what the annex is, showing the FBI's negligence during the Clinton email investigation. Oh boy. On the Trump administration's cooperation with Grassley's oversight. This is what the senator said. First of all, I think I need to compliment the Trump administration because I sought information under both Republican and Democrat presidents over decades on a lot of my oversight work. I'm getting more cooperation from the Trump administration than I've ever gotten before. Don't tell me he's hiding anything. Don't tell me Trump is the one who's guilty of one of anything. He's the guy who wants you to know. And he knows from the Epstein stuff that you will not rest until you know the truth. And damn it, you shouldn't. On the FBI's failure to fully investigate Hillary Clinton's private email server, Senator Grassley said this: we're talking about former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, who was also at the same time candidate for president of the United States, and a person who ought to know better than to keep emails and official correspondence on a server that's not protected in their own home. What I'm making public is this fact that the FBI knew about it. They've got some thumb drives that dealt with all of these issues, and they didn't even bother to go through them. It was a complete cover-up, Grassley said, completely ignoring the FBI's responsibilities. Just another way of saving the politicization and the weaponization of the FBI and the Department of Justice by turning a blind eye to key evidence while investigating Hillary Clinton's mishandling of classified information on this private email server. These findings prove that the Clinton investigation wasn't thorough or complete. And I've been requesting this report to be declassified for years. And finally now, after 7 years, we got it declassified so the American people can have all the facts for themselves. That's giant. Transparency, he says, is the first step to accountability. I would expect that now that this stuff is out and the public knows about it, DOJ is going to find some pressure to closely review what has been exposed. He says the bottom line is we ought to be thankful President Trump is back in office so truth can come out to light. And we ought to just thank God that that's the situation. But if these people had their way, he wouldn't even have served those first 4 years. True. So this is what we are waiting for. That is the next document drop to tell you about. I hope to be able to tell you about it tomorrow, Friday at the latest. All right. So on that back burner, you remember when the media went absolutely nuts over Trump offering to make Canada America's 51st state? And they painted him out to be this Bigfoot, this authoritarian kind of a goon guy. Oh, yeah, we'll just buy you or we'll absorb you, we'll conquer you. That's not even close to what happened. And Marco Rubio sitting down with my favorite journalist ever, Catherine Herridge. He says, look, I was in the room when this happened. You want to hear how it happened? How Canada was offered the ability to be America's 51st state? Because the story ain't what you think. Here's the truth.
Hot mic moment, Canada's prime minister said that absorbing Canada is a real thing. Is it a real thing?
Look, you know how that came about. President's meeting with Trudeau, and Trudeau says, well, if you even out our trade relationship, then we will cease to exist as a country. At which point the president responded very logically, and that is, well, if you can't exist without cheating in trade, then you should become a state. That was his observation.
That's how it started.
It is how it started. And I think he's told the story publicly. And that's how all this began. Look, Canada's our friend. Canada's our neighbor. Canada's our partner. But it goes back to the point I made. For decades, the United States allowed uneven trade imbalances to develop. During the Cold War, you know why we did it? We did it because we felt like we want countries to be strong economically, even if it means they're cheating, because we don't want them to fall victim to some internal Marxist coup that overturns their government or what have you. Those days are gone. These are rich, developed economies. And ultimately, who can argue against the fact that whatever they charge us, we should charge them? Whatever they prohibit, if they don't allow American companies to do it, we should not allow their companies to do it here. American banks can't even operate in Canada. So there has to be reciprocity here. We can continue to work together on all kinds of things, but whether it's Canada, Mexico, China, anybody else, when it comes to economics and trade, there has to be reciprocity, there has to be fairness. And who would argue, how can anybody argue against that? The days where we just allow countries to take advantage of us, that has to end. That's not good for the global order. That leads to imbalances that create friction points.
All right, there you have it, folks. I'm going to go ahead and pause that there. I'm running a few minutes over. Now, I don't know if it bothers you that I share Wendy Bell so much, but doggone it, she's got good stuff. You can't argue with that. Let me know in the comments or the chat or whatever if you see too much of Wendy Bell. But as I said, I like the way she talks. Okay, so let me click on this Rumble link and show you that this video does come from Wendy Bell. I am following her channel.
And that everybody was
a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. Okay, let's jump back over here. And again, remind you that these videos that I share with you are videos that come directly from the producer's channel. I don't receive any commissions or royalties for sharing this information out or promoting their channels, but I do get the satisfaction of sharing it with you. Let me see what we got here in the chats. Looks like Debbie BS has dropped a couple of chats. There we go. Oh, I like Wendy Bell too. Well, thank you very much. TazMep D. Okay, I'm going to copy this into, so I assume that since you like Wendy Bell, you don't mind me sharing her information. TazMep D. All right, so there you go. So this is also, folks, when you do a comment, all you got to do is write some stuff in this comment box, and then you click this little green button over here, and watch this. Watch. Boom. Oh, it's so cool. Turns green and kind of fades. I like it. I like it. Okay, let me do a quick refresh on this. All right. Close that out again. Pause that. And it looks like I've had 117 people look at this video so far. I've got 26 people watching right now, and I've got 5 thumbs up. So, you know, if I could get 21 of you to slide down here and give me a thumbs up, that would be fantastic. Getting back over here to Mertech.com. Now, as I said, I have over 55 no-nonsense, common sense, logic, and truth videos here, and I didn't have time to share all of them with you. I did share 5, but I do have a daily news wrap-up coming up here about 9:30. So I'm going to go update my playlist. Right now I've got over 60 videos on my playlist right now, but I'm going to update my playlist and get the video set up for you. So if you want to go ahead and take a break, grab a cup of coffee or donut or a sandwich and a soft drink, that would be fine. Give me some time to get this set up and come back and join me at 9:30. That would be fantastic. But in the meantime, I do want to thank you for the time you spent with me. Hopefully, I'll get to see you again later, and may God bless.